Some coffee.
Make the right choice. Invest with SIMS Stanbic Investment Management Services for capital preservation and competitive returns. Try SIMS today and you will not regret your decision. Stanbic Investment Management Services, your investment specialist.
And Chairman, in fact, I actually came to find out about my investments. Yes, my
investment. Your investment. Your investment. Sir, considering the micro-inflationary dynamics of the systematic advanced calculated forms, your investment is perpetual towards ratification.
meaning?
In simple terms, Sikanashi.
Misikanashi.
Don't shout. Swallow it.
You care for some coffee?
Make the right choice. Invest with SIMS Stanbic Investment Management Services for capital preservation and competitive returns. Try SIMS today and you will not regret your decision. Stanbic Investment Management Services, your investment specialist.
And Chairman, in fact, I actually came to find out about my investments. Yes,
Investment Management Services, SIMS. I have all-in-one. Charlie with SIMS at the Invest with Speed.
Stanbic Investment Management Services, your investment specialist. SIMS, Stanbic Investment Management Services, your investment specialist.
my
Your investment. Your investment. Your investment. Sir, considering the micro-inflationary dynamics of the systematic advanced calculated forms, your investment is perpetual towards ratification.
meaning?
In simple terms, Sikanashi.
Misikanashi.
Don't shout. Swallow it.
You care for some coffee?
Make the right choice. Invest with SIMS Stanbic Investment Management Services for capital preservation and competitive returns. Try SIMS today and you will not regret your decision. Stanbic Investment Management Services, your investment specialist.
My name is Kwame and I am an entrepreneur. On Mondays, I am the result-oriented salesman. On Tuesdays, the reliable delivery man. On Wednesday, the IT expert. Thursdays are for motivation. I'm a sought-after motivational speaker. And on Friday, a sports consultant. With such a busy schedule, speed is very important to me. Speed in investing funds and speed in accessing funds immediately I request for it. And with Stanbic Investment Management Services, SIMS, I have all-in-one. Charlie with SIMS at the Invest with Speed.
Stanbic Investment Management Services, your investment specialist.
My name is Kwame and I am an entrepreneur. On Mondays, I am the result-oriented salesman. On Tuesdays, the reliable delivery man. On Wednesday, the IT expert. Thursdays are for motivation. I'm a sought-after motivational speaker. And on Friday, a sports consultant. With such a busy schedule, speed is very important to me. Speed in investing funds and speed in accessing funds immediately I request for it. And with Stanbic Investment Management Services, SIMS, I have all in one. Charlie, with SIMS, they invest with speed.
Stanbic Investment Management Services, your investment
In fact, I actually came to find out about my investments. Yes, my investment.
Investment, your investment. Your investment. Sir, considering the micro-inflationary dynamics of the systematic advanced calculated forms, your investment is perpetual towards gratification.
Meaning?
In simple terms, Sikanashi.
Misikanashi.
Don't shout. Swallow it.
You care for some coffee?
Make the right choice. Invest with SIMS Stanbic Investment Management Services for capital preservation and competitive returns. Try SIMS today and you will not regret your decision. Stanbic Investment Management Services, your investment specialist.
And Chairman, in fact, I actually came to find out about my investments. Yes, my
Investment, your investment. Your investment. Sir, considering the micro-inflationary dynamics of the systematic advanced calculated forms, your investment is perpetual towards gratification.
Meaning?
In simple terms, Sikanashi.
Misikanashi.
Don't shout. Swallow it.
You care for some coffee?
Make the right choice. Invest with SIMS Stanbic Investment Management Services for capital preservation and competitive returns. Try SIMS today and you will not regret your decision. Stanbic Investment Management Services, your investment specialist.
And Chairman, in fact, I actually came to find out about my investments. Yes, my
Investment, your investment. Your investment. Sir, considering the micro-inflationary dynamics of the systematic advanced calculated forms, your investment is perpetual towards gratification.
Meaning?
In simple terms, Sikanashi.
Misikanashi.
Don't shout. Swallow it.
You care for some coffee?
Make the right choice. Invest with SIMS Stanbic Investment Management Services for capital preservation and competitive returns. Try SIMS today and you will not regret your decision. Stanbic Investment Management Services.
My name is Kwame and I am an entrepreneur. On Mondays, I am the result-oriented salesman. On Tuesdays, the reliable delivery man. On Wednesday, the IT expert. Thursdays are for motivation. I'm a sought-after motivational speaker. And on Friday, a sports consultant. With such a busy schedule, speed is very important to me. Speed in investing funds and speed in accessing funds immediately I request for it. And with Stanbic Investment Management Services, SIMS, I have all in one. Charlie, with SIMS, they invest with speed.
Stanbic Investment Management Services, your investment specialist.
My name is Kwame and I
this conversation. Now, welcome to my panelists and everybody watching us. Now, SIMS is a member of the Standard Bank Group, and we are an investment advisory firm as well as a pension fund manager. We are licensed by the SEC, that is the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the NPI, that's the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. Now, we are delighted to have you join us in this conversation, talking about retirement planning and everything relating to money. Thank you again for joining us. Now, as society evolves, many things happen on a daily basis, and everyone is concerned about how to secure their future. And one of the key things that keeps coming up is their pensions, retirement planning. And we are delighted today to have you join us and talk about these things today. Now, most often than not, we deal with these things on an individual basis, and people do come to us as an investment firm, and we talk to them about these things, retirement and how to secure their future. But we believe that it's important that we have a national platform where we talk about these things and influence people to better their lives and also their dependents. So today we are delighted to have with us Dr. Abdullahi Hassan, Miriam Issa, and Kwabena Boama. Now, my name is Desmond Bredo, and I'll be your moderator for today. And we are live on Facebook at Stanbic Investment Management Services and also on CTFM 97.3. Do remember that you can join the conversation using the hashtag SIMS Webinar Series, or you can send your comment on our Facebook platforms, and we would be delighted to answer you and help you out in your retirement journey. Now, let me just again introduce my guest and my experts here. So to my immediate right is Dr. Abdullahi Hassan, who's a special guest and a retiree. And we have Mrs. Miriam Issa and Mr. Kwabena Boama, whom I call KB. So thank you guys for joining us, and hope we have a wonderful conversation. So,
thank you.
Let's start with you though. As our guest, how is retiring, or how is retirement treating you? How did you even start your career, and how did they end for you, and what can you talk to us about your retirement?
Thank you very much, Desmond. Good morning to all of you, our cherished listeners. It's been very interesting to be part of this discussion, and I'm asked a question to see where I started from and how I ended. You know, I started way back as a young graduate at the Internal Audit Department of University of Cape Coast. So that's where I did my service. After my service, I did a 1 year, extension. So from there, I saw an advert in the papers. I didn't even know which job was that. So I applied, and I was invited for an interview. And I saw non-performing asset recovery. I didn't even know what it was, non-performing, so I went and read about it. And I saw that, well, it was an institution formed by the World Bank to collect bad debts or NPLs of banks at that time. So I was very glad to join them. So I joined them in the 6th, and I rose through the ranks to become the internal auditor of the trust. And but the institution was supposed to work for 5 years and sunset. So we did that, and we succeeded in recovering about 85% of the NPLs of the banks. So I joined the International Commercial Bank, a bank from Malaysia, as a young financial controller. So I progressed up to a general manager position, and that was a de facto chief executive position. So indeed, I was in charge of principally finance, treasury, human resource, and branch control. So from there, I moved to, I left the bank and joined the World Bank project, COVID. COVID was, we had a project financed by World Bank to skill development in the country, so I was part of the process. I stayed a very short period there. Then I moved to Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. I was appointed as the Director of Audit. So I went there shortly. I was made the Acting Director General. So whilst acting as Director General, Ghana was the president of African Civilization Commission, made up of 54 African countries. So the burden fell on me directly to chair the commission. So I did that for 2 years, and later I think I was confirmed as Deputy Director General, Finance and Administration. So I've held that position since 2013, and I retired just last year, July 6, 2020. So I'm just a young retiree. I'm just a young retiree, and so that is me. And well, that is it. And I lecture at the law school, legal accountancy, and also lecture at the Institute of Chartered Accountants as financial management. So this is what I've done for myself all these years, right from the time I graduated as a young person to date. So that is me. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. That's impressive. But for our listeners and our viewers, remember that this conversation is for everybody, whether you're formal sector, informal sector, whether you just receive your first paycheck or not. So, Doc, again, back to you. You just retired like last year. So how has your experience been? How's retirement treating you?
Yeah. Well, I'll say so far, so good, just getting to 1 year as retirement. But what I did, basically just to structure my retirement on 3 levels. So the pre-retirement process, where I said, well, okay, I'm psyching myself that, look, I have to go by all means. So when I'm 60, I have to go. So every day, every week, every minute, I'll tell friends, look, I'm left with 3 years to go, I'm left with 2 years to go, I'm left with, even I was counting the days. So this was just to put me, to psych myself, and to emotionally accept that, look, eventually I have to go on retirement, I have to go and rest. Then I started creating liquidity since I got in touch with SIMS and then Stanbic. So, and with my relationship managers were always in the money market. Anytime there's good deal, they'll call me, oh, do you have this? And they helped me a lot in creating the financial stability for myself, creating liquidity. So this was my pre-retirement plan. And I said, look, and I also said, oh, okay, after retirement, you should have activities to do. So all I'll do is to make the teaching quite permanent for myself. So very important. So this is how I structured the pre-retirement process. On retirement here, I'm looking at the day I retired up to 6 months. So on retirement, I said, look, there's no way I'm going to accept contract. If that is very important. From now, there's no contract. Number 2, I don't want to look back. So if you retire, you are looking. Oh, what's the percentage increase in salary? What is this? What is bonus you're going to take? Yeah. There's a story of a CEO who retired in November, and December he came to pick his hamper. So I said, no, I don't want to look back. So that was my on retirement, plan. So from now, from the time I retired to 6 months time, I said no, I was going to look back, and I don't want to feel pity for myself. That's very important. Don't say no. I'm not going to feel pity for myself. Whatever I have, I'm content with that. And well, you have a driver, so what do? You have to don't look back. Just try driving yourself. You'll get used to the system again. So that's how during retirement I said, look, let me stabilize on financially. And in stabilizing financially, you have to recognize the fact that your expenses still are the same. So how do you go around it? Very important question. We're Africans. We still have a lot of extended families friends to take care of. Yeah. So very important. So how do you do it? You have to really be harsh. You have to really face the bullet. So I told a lot of people, look, once somebody calls, oh, I'm no more working. Sometimes when you tell you're no more working, you will never get a call from the person. You are free then. So what I see is that you have to just be plain, You just have to cut the expenses where you have to. You are no more a working employee, so you have to just cut your coat according to your size. Very important. Now, again, I have come to realize that to enjoy your retirement is not the properties that you have. You just have to create some small liquidity, near cash items, you know. Because when you are sick, sometimes your property cannot get you the needed funds to do what you want to do. So I believe that you should create some small liquidity to back with your 25% pension that you are getting. So for now, this is what I have to say.
Thank you so much, Doc. And it's quite insightful how you spoke about your pre and your post-retirement. So let me just come to you, Mr. Boama. Mr. Boama is our Chief Investment Officer. So KB, when Doc was speaking, he touched about maybe after the retirement. What lessons did you draw from when you were speaking? What can you share with us for our viewers?
I must say that, Doc, you are one of the few people who, when they are due for retirement, will willingly accept and not want to extend their stay in the office. And for me, it speaks to the confidence you have in going on retirement and even looking forward to it. There's a proverb in our local language that if a blind man wants to throw a stone at you, he's actually stepping on one. So it just tells us that you had planned for the retirement, and that's why you are looking forward to it. So one of the key lessons for me is that I need to plan towards it, and that if I plan towards it, I can actually look forward to it without making changes to my age or looking for extension. Yes. And then I think another one critical lesson, especially for the young today, is that you could tell that he has worked his life.
Yeah.
He's earned the money over the period and risen through the ranks. So hard work for me is one of the factors that enables us to plan towards retirement. And I think that's one of the lessons that's very clear in his messaging. And then the final one for me was he spoke to professionals concerning his retirement. So it's important that as we discuss or have conversations about retirement, we get the right advice so that the money can be invested properly and you can actually have access to it. He did say that when you are sick, it is not your house that you will need to get well. You will need liquidity, you need money. So without the proper investment from a professional, you might make mistakes in planning for retirement.
Thank you, KB. That's well said. And I like the point on you speaking to professionals. So I just go to our head of client sales, Mr. So just to touch on that, what Doc said, maybe your reaction to that, and in answering that, to probably look at what other frustration, what other comments you receive from people. You're the head of our client sales. So when you talk to people about pensions and retirement, what kind of things do they
from Doc's submission, aside what KB has just talked about, was the fact that he had to psych himself. That was really interesting for me. I've had whilst they are working, and it comes as quite a shock when they suddenly have to move out of employment and you're no longer getting access to free healthcare, you're no longer getting fuel allowances, you're no longer collecting bonuses at a certain time, you're not getting clothing allowance, you're not living in your employer's quarters, and suddenly one day you realize that you have to leave. It comes as quite a shock. And even though you would hear Dr. Al-Hassan had prepared and planned for retirement, there was some psyching to be done. You can't just wake up one day and then you're walking out of your employment that you have done, something you have done for most part of your life. So you need to prepare your mind to go out of that. And then one thing I also picked up was that you live simply. And I was listening to one talk by Alex earlier over the weekend when he mentioned a friend who came to him and was looking out for his car because he knew the man had a lot of money, and only to realize that it was a Renault Logan. And sometimes you don't understand. He probably has a Mercedes parked at home, but for his rounds in Accra, he thought it was okay to actually drive in a Renault Logan. So sometimes we need to also look at how we want to live over that period. A lot of people come over the period that we've worked in the pensions industry or the investments, asking how should I retire, or what do I need? And like he said, he spoke to professionals. So at a point, they told him you need to start making some of your investment liquid because you would need it. Sometimes you are likely to make mistakes if you don't talk to people who understand what the business of investment and planning your retirement is. So they ask questions about what I need to do to retire. And sometimes, interestingly, they don't also think that they have enough to retire or to even start planning. It doesn't matter, I always say, what you have, but it does matter that you start the conversation and then you start the planning. I'm sure other questions will come up that I'll delve deeper. So thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. And I'll just kickstart from the last one. How do you plan? KB, how, as you know, I come to you today, I'm naive about retirement, and I ask you a question, KB, how do I plan my retirement? What are you going to tell me?
Right. There are two key words you've used. One is retirement, and the other one is planning. And let me start with a quote by Greg Reed. He says that a dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. And a plan backed by actions makes your dream come true. So when it comes to retirement planning, you will need to look at what goals or what objectives am I looking at when at age 60 I have to go home. How do I want my retirement to look like? What are the kind of expenses I will still be dealing with? Dr. Hassan said that his pension money after retirement was just 25% of his income. But the expenses did not drop by 75%. I'm sure probably it will drop by 20%. So you have 80% of your expenses still ongoing, but your income has dropped. So you need to think through, in coming up with a retirement goal, how much am I estimating my expenses to be like when I go on retirement? Water bill, electricity bill, children's education, medical bills, which most people don't plan for when it comes to retirement, especially if you're in a formal employment where your employer takes care of your medicals. So you need to factor all that in. Those amount or expenses gives you an idea of how much you need to have at the time of retirement. So that monthly figure, you can multiply by 12, and it becomes your annual expense. Then what kind of investment do I need to have to be able to generate that amount of income to meet these expenses? That becomes your retirement goal that you need to achieve. Then the second point is the planning. What do I do? One of the things you would consider in planning is budgeting, because you need to be able to set aside specific sums of money to meet that investment objective. So budgeting becomes one of the things you will need to do. And then finally, once you're able to generate that money or make that decision to put aside money towards the goal, you need to invest that money. What investment options are you going to look at to be able to make sure you achieve that goal, and then you can generate the necessary revenue?
Thank you, KB. And I like the last point, what to invest in. But before I come to that, Miriam, when should I even start thinking about retirement? When should I start? For anybody out there, when should you start thinking about retirement?
Honestly, I wish I could give you an age. So that people know for certain that when should I start thinking about retirement. I'll use myself. I never started or looked at retirement until I started working with a corporate trustee. When I saw people come in for their retirement packages, or I knew about this tier 1, tier 2, and how insufficient it probably was for me if I should retire on such sums of money. So that's when I started thinking about it. That would be some 5 years back. Do I have an account today that has a name on it, retirement account? No, I don't. But what that meant when I said, it drew my attention to the fact that I needed to start thinking about it. So I started having conversations about it. I started thinking or wondering what I wanted my retirement to look at. And I think that is the first step. Like KB was saying, that you need to have a plan in place. And when you have a date assigned to it, then it becomes a goal. And once you have that goal in place, you have a focus and you start working towards it. So I don't have a retirement account that I would say that I'm paying or contributing money into it. But I realize that with time, I'm taking steps into maybe acquiring things that will help my retirement become comfortable, or that falls in line with the goals that I have written down. So there's no time or age to start thinking retirement or planning retirement. Maybe you want to revise them. Maybe you were looking at having a BM. Now, with where you are now, you can have a Mercedes. If you were looking at maybe a jet now, you know how things are going, so maybe you need to bring down your expectations as well. So if you have started thinking about it and writing things down, you can go back and look at it and tweak it to make sure that you are putting things in place. Where you haven't started, I think it's now. And you might also think that I am not earning enough now. And in fact, when you put your expenditure by your income, it never matches. And as you grow older, the gap widens unless you're doing something on the side. So that's one thing that you also have to look at. There's never enough money. The thing, or what you need to do rather, is always make sure you put something aside before your expenditure. It's said that the rich save before spending. The rest of us, we always spend before we think, hey, the money is finished for saving. I see some people are laughing. There's no budget for savings. But what I tell my customers or my clients or my friends that I speak to is that make the saving an item on your expenditure list. Write savings as an expenditure, as well as water bill, as well as ECG. If you do that, you will realize that there will be some money that you will put aside for savings. So that's what.
Mention your expenses. If you analyze it, this is what you get. And Miriam just mentioned savings. I just want to share with you how sometimes I create arbitrage in the process of saving. It is true that you cannot really put aside your salary, because you think, hey, all the expenses, this. So what I usually do is to look at some banks who come, oh, we're going to give you so much. I remember I took a loan of X percent, and I invested it at X plus 1, and because you cannot save. So all what you have to do, I know that with the loan, the deduction is going to be periodical, monthly payment, and the interest rate is on a reducing balancing basis. My interest on the investment will be compounding. So eventually you're going to make some arbitrage profit. So I think the arbitrage gain. So I think that we should be looking at those opportunities as well. Don't turn down all loans offered by your institutions. Look at what you can do. But I will not go for debt that you take and consume, especially getting to the tail end of your retirement. Just avoid those loans. They are not productive. Just look at loans that you can reinvest and make some small, however small it is, and move on. And once you build that, it's there as seed capital. Because you have already liquidated the loan, fully by the time you are going on retirement. So that is and what is also important is winding down your capital projects. As you move to the end, please just avoid capital projects, because you get to a point where you cannot finish and it's not bringing money. You are stuck. You need liquidity. You are not getting. So what do? You can sell. Our secondary market for housing is not too good. It's not liquid. So if you invest so much in property, you want to resell, you cannot resell. It will be very difficult to resell. So I think that we should still go for at least creating some small liquidity to support our pension revenue. And in doing that, you can talk to your I think SIMS. I have a practical experience with SIMS, so I will just recommend that you will not regret for associating with SIMS. Thank you very much.
To you to discuss pertinent issues that relates to investing, managing your money, and everything about money. So if you have any questions, please do join the conversation. Send your questions on either Facebook or send it to us. If some of us have social media, you can send it to us and we'll have the panelists answer the questions for you. So again, my guests are Dr. Abdullah Hassan, a retiree. We have Miriam Meko-Emisa, who's the head of client sales, and KB Kwabena Boama, who is our chief investment officer. So again, thank you for joining us. So just to move on to you, KB. So if I come to you right now and say, I'm confused about pensions, just tell me a little bit about pensions in Ghana. What would you say to me?
So in our current pensions regime, we have what we call the tiered pension scheme. We have the tier 1, tier 2, and then the tier 3. Now, tier 1 and tier 2 are mandatory for all persons in employment to contribute. Tier 1 goes to SNIT, which takes care of your monthly pensions when you go on retirement. And there's a formula that is used to define how much you will get when you go on retirement. So it's called a defined benefit scheme. And then you have the tier 2, which is privately managed by corporate trustees or your own employer's trustee, which sets up a scheme for you. Those contributions becomes available to you when you go on retirement, and it's a lump sum that is also paid to you when you go on retirement. Now, beyond the tier 1 and tier 2, which are mandatory, there's also room under the tier 3 for both the formal sector and the informal sector. Under the formal sector, we call this the provident fund schemes, where the employer contributes a portion of your salary, and then you also contribute additional percentage of your salary into what we call the provident fund scheme, and that is also privately managed for you. And when you go on retirement, you have access to it, and it's called a defined contributory scheme. So on retirement, it's based on how much you have contributed and whatever returns it has generated for you. If you are in the informal sector, you still have an opportunity to participate under the pension scheme. And that's where we have the group pension schemes that have been issued or come up by master trust schemes all over the country. So the informal sector can also contribute towards their pensions.
Thank you, KB. So, Miriam, KB has spoken about the tiers in Ghana as well as the master trust schemes. So, my first question to you be, is it enough to probably rely solely on the tier 1, tier 2, and probably tier 3? if not, what other investment options, or is it even good to invest for yourself for your retirement? And what investment options are available to you to help you meet your retirement goals?
Is it enough? I think that it depends on what you are planning for your retirement as well. And aside that, I think also that you shouldn't leave your retirement in the hands of just what government has put in place or your employer does. Today we've seen trade unions that are going on demonstration just because payments have not been done for them for their retirement, or some people are not part of the scheme that is in place. So is it enough? I would say no, it's not enough. I would think that people should also take into their own hands their retirement based on the goals that they have put in place. And aside looking at what the government has put in place, what KB has just talked about, you should also consistently check on these investments that, for one, deductions are being done, and two, it's sufficient and it's in line with the plans that you have put in place. If you realize these things, or you know these things, then you would realize that it's not sufficient to take care of all the other needs that I would have. Maybe there's some pension baby, and so you will still be paying fees after you go on retirement. Will the tier 1, tier 2, and even in some cases, if there's tier 3, be sufficient for these expenditures you have? I really don't think so. And it's when you have the conversation early and you have the plan and the objective that you realize that it's not sufficient. And so if it's not sufficient, what do? There are various options for you, and it doesn't matter where you are and at what point you are in terms of whether you're working, you're a student, or anything of that sort. You can start. There are collective investments or mutual funds available that you can be contributing ad hoc on a monthly basis, half yearly, at any time. You can put money aside. We don't mostly go by our budget, otherwise we'd realize that there are various places within our expenditure that we can actually cut on and make allowances for savings. With as little as 20 Ghana cedis, you can find an investment to do, and you can start from somewhere. I was reading an article that you, Desmond, published, and you mentioned that at age 25, if you wanted to hit 1 million at retirement, which is age 60, you just needed 69 Ghana cedis. If you are 25 years today, 69 Ghana cedis, you can start doing something. And trust me, 69 Ghana cedis 5 years from now will not be much. But if you wait and you start at 35 years, you're going to need more than 300 Ghana cedis to end that 1 million at 60 years. So it doesn't matter where you are now, but it matters that you start doing something. And you can only start doing something when you start having the conversation and you start having the bigger picture in mind. Yeah, so that's what I think.
Thank you. I mean, it has answered a question that someone asked, whether is it ever too early to start? Maybe probably we'll switch it to KB. Is it too late to start too?
It's said that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is today. Yeah. So, as far as retirement planning is concerned, there's nothing like it's too late. What tends to happen is the ease of the planning. If you start early, as Miriam mentioned, the planning or the ability to reach your goal becomes much easier, because then you don't need much to do. With a little sacrifice, you can get there. But if you wait and becomes too late, what it means that you need to do much more to be able to achieve that level. And let me just chip in here. We talk about financial independence, and people think it's when you are driving a big car, a black Toyota Prado, and you have a 4-bedroom, a 5-bedroom house. That is when you are financially independent. But that's not it. It's actually when your reasonable expenses on retirement can be covered by income which you do not have to work for. And the key word is here is reasonable expenses. If we begin to live simple lives and we cut down on some of our expenses, you realize that what we actually need to survive, it's not much. And once you have planned towards it and you have invested, then the income or the interest from your investment will be able to meet these expenses, and you can be financially independent. So financial independence is achievable for everyone irrespective of your level. And it comes at different levels. It's not one size fits all.
Thank you. Let me come back to you, Doc. So, Doc, if as a genie and I could reverse time for you, is it something you do differently, or you wanted to do differently?
Well, there's always room for improvement, and well, so far, what I've done, fairly 80%, I'm on the right track. But if I were to do things differently, I'll start my planning right from day one. Right from day one, put aside even 1 peso, 2 pesos, just put something down. Those days in the village, you put we had a box. Yes. That's the savings culture. So let's apply that. Just put the box there, put 1 peso there every month, and see how it will grow. So I think that the right time is now. The right time is the first day you start work, you start planning. That is it. So I was even saying, when I looked at it, it said planning and retirement. I rather would feel it's planning for retirement. Yes. Because the two, you plan for retirement. But if you don't plan, that's where you'll be taken by events. So please, what I will suggest is that don't think that your salary is small. You can do you can save, and as KB said, live very simple life. Very simple. You have very simple. Warren Buffett said that he has 4 bedrooms, no wall, and he's fine. Yes, and he said he should have started buying stocks at the time he was 6 years. So it means that planning should be done anytime. Right from the time you start work. Let's okay.
Thank you, Doc. And I like the fact that you mentioned about the small amount into play. So I'll come to you, Miriam. So for us young people, right, is it practicable or is it realistic for us to plan and save for our retirement? And probably I'd like you to touch on the figures. How much do I need to start with?
Desmond, if you ask me how much do you need to start with, I'm not in your pocket. How much you need to start with? So typically for young people, I would say that I'm still young, so I'll consider myself. Yeah. We don't have as many expenditures as we grow older, let me say. So if you're in the university at the moment, you get money from your parents. I hear now, as compared to when I was in the university, there's Wi-Fi everywhere on campus. So you probably won't spend as much on data as you would if you were out of campus. Can you save a little from that? The little things, maybe going out and having fun, you could also cut a little bit on that. So it's not too early to have a budget if you're a young person. You don't need to wait when you start earning salary to put in a budget. You can actually look at what you spend money on and save part of it. There's a principle that I normally share, which is the 10, 20, 70 principle. If you are younger, I would always say inch up the 20%. The 10% I would normally give to religious activities, your tithe, if it's zakat. I don't know, Doc, you can help me with the tithing you do for Muslims. Is it zakat? Yes, zakat. Yes. So you can put money aside for religious purposes. I believe that also is an investment in a form, and then there's the 20% or 10%. So you could do 10, 10, 80, depending on where you are. I'm talking about young people. That's why I increased the 10 to 20, because you don't have to spend all the 80 on expenditures. You can keep increasing the 20 so that when life goes ahead and the expenditures increase, you can reduce the 20%. By then, like Doc was saying, the little coins will add up. And with investment, it's time and consistency. If you're being consistent, the little adds up. If it's whatever you do, there's consistency and time that adds up to make it big. If it's a weight loss program you are on, you'd realize that the fast and the hard rules, with time you get tired and then you stop. So you don't have to squeeze yourself. A friend was saying that because of saving, she has to sleep in darkness. No, you don't have to, because you want to save. So you use all your money to that you need to buy electricity to put in an investment. No, you do something that will still make life comfortable for you now. But by all means, put some money on the side. I hope I've answered your question. So if you are young, it is not too late to start, and it's not too early to start, and it doesn't matter how much. If it's 20 Ghana cedis, you can even find a formal institution like SIMS to put your money into an investment. If it's less than 20 cedis, you can actually still find the Susu box that Doc was talking about. And when you put it aside for a few weeks, you will get that 20 to start. So by all means, start.
So I'll ask the same questions to Doc and KB. If you're supposed to give any advice to us young people, or as the youth or millennials, what would you say?
Okay, first of all, I want to touch on the expenditure cutting. You know, as you grow, I think one of the expenditure that may become very core, very permanent on your expenditure list will be friends coming to you, relatives coming to you. I want to do this, I want to do that. You know, we cannot run away from that. But I think that as you move towards retirement, let them see the reality. You let them look. Now I'm not working. And I remember telling one of my friends, "Oh, I'm not working." So no, but you are better than me. I said, no. You know, I'm not working, so just go ahead and manage somewhere. You realize that about a chunk of the people who ask for money from you, if you tell them you're not working, they may not even call you again. You know, and for me, I'm better off than that. I'm better off, you know, if you don't call me because of money, it's okay. So let's identify those expenditures that we can easily do away with, and face the reality, you know, rather than, you know, letting somebody's feeling come into your expenditure pattern and you cannot really manage it. So that is what I would say on the expenditure pattern. So you're talking of
what advice would you give to us, the young people?
Yeah. Okay, the advice I will give is that planning for retirement, we should plan for it. We should not retire to plan. We should plan for the retirement, not waiting to retire. That you are not planning, you know, etc. And planning, as we all, you know, agreed, you can start planning right from day one. Don't say planning is too early or planning is too late. So if you plan late, it means that you have to do more, as KB said. So I would recommend that we should start our planning right from day one. My uncle once said that, like, if you take your first salary, put it, then that's your savings, you know, which is good. So don't spend 1 cedi from even your first month salary those days. So that means that at that time you was thinking of how I should plan, how I should save towards the future, because retirement, you know, it's a whole you know, process, and it's a whole life on its own. So I would, that's what I would tell youth, and they should work to develop themselves. Keep developing yourself. Prepare yourself for the future. Make yourself relevant as you move, you know. So this is what I want to say.
Thank you, Dr. KB.
Yes, just a little to add what Miriam said earlier on. I think the reality is that the money is not enough. That's a reality. Yeah. And even though the money is not enough, another reality too is that we waste money. We spend money on things that we don't need to impress people we don't like. So we realize that even though the money is not enough, we are still not managing the resources well. Now, if we will be able to manage the resources well, we can achieve the investment objectives. And so for young people, the reality is that the money is not enough, but the truth is that if we are not enough with it, we can't be enough even with it. So you just have to make a decision. And once you make that decision, you stick to it. No matter how small it is, all you need is just make the decision that this is what I am going to do and this is what I will do with regards to every money that comes into my hands.
Thank you, KB. Remember, we are still live on CTFM 97.3, and we're also streaming live on our Facebook platform at Stanbic Investment Management Services. This is the SIMS webinar series, and this is the maiden edition. We're bringing you more conversations on this as time goes on. So remember to join us with future discussions. So again, just to come back to you, Miriam, I'll give you the opportunity to. I mean, we've spoken about the fact that you need very little to start, and you mentioned that at Stanbic or now SIMS, we have investment products that can help you achieve that. So maybe just briefly touch on the investment product that we have at SIMS that can help individuals achieve their retirement goals.
All right, and I'm happy you said, sorry, their retirement goals. Typically, when you come to us, we would want to go beyond what you just came in to buy off the shelf. With investments, it's more of a conversation on what you want to achieve. And most people, what we realize is that they walk into our offices with a certain mindset, but after conversations, we realize that they would actually need something more. We have two collective investments that we provide for investments for individuals. The first one is aimed or set up for individuals who are looking to put money aside for a short period of time, and they want to have the flexibility to come and take it at any time. So if today you want to put money aside and still come for it when you need it, we have a money market fund which is aimed at doing short-term investments. What would you get, or what return should you expect? We have a benchmark of the 91-day Government of Ghana Treasury bill, and that is the benchmark on that fund. So that is what you can expect. As fund managers, we do not guarantee rates. So you are not likely to come to me and I'll say, I'll give you a fixed rate. Again, we have the second one, which is a fund that is geared towards those who are looking to put money aside for a project. Maybe you want to discipline yourself, like put money aside 2 years, I don't touch it. Then I can come for it when it has gone the full haul. That is for a medium to long-term investment. We have the Sambac Income Fund. So that is also available for people who are looking to put money aside for a medium to long-term period. There's more information that you can find on our pages and our website as well if you want the features of the product. But remember that when you come to us, we would have a conversation with you. Some people come with the aim to do just the short-term one. But after speaking, we realize that with the money they have, they can actually split it and put part in the income fund and part in the cash trust. And so we do that for them. And at the end of the day, they have better returns, and then their objective is also met.
Thank you, Miriam. So I'll come to you, KB. So I was listening to the head of the corporate affairs for SNET, and she mentioned that only 11% of the active labor force contribute to SNET on a monthly basis. And she also mentioned that about 230,000 people who are age 60 and above, which represent 10% of the retirees, actually get SNET. So my question to you then is, KB, so if looking at the statistics, right? doesn't seem to suggest that we need to then take care of our own retirement. Why is it so important that we take care of our own retirement? Because if only 11% of former workers contribute to SNET, then it's important that we take advantage or take control of our own pension. So why do you think it's so critical?
Desmond, I think you've hit the nail, the hammer right on the head, and it's an important conversation, and I'm happy we are having this discourse, and it's being aired for people to look into it. Like you rightly said, the statistics are actually frightening, and in 2019, Business and Financial Times reported that 82% of pensioners actually take home less than 1,000 cedis. If you look at current expenses, what can you do? So we really need to take the conversations around pensions very serious and let everyone start actively looking and planning towards retirement. We've spoken about some of the things that we need to do. One key reason why it's important we all jump into the conversation about pensions is that when we go on retirement, one thing that's for sure will retire is our income. But our expenses does not retire.
Yeah.
So whether we like it or not, expenses will come when we go on retirement. But your income is not assured, except for the small pensions that you will get from your monthly pensions and then also your lump sum, which may not be much to take home. I remember one of my shocks when I started my national service at the ministries. When I entered the office, on a sticker at the reception, they had written, "Take home is not enough to take us home." So,
again, can you repeat that?
Take home is not enough to take us home. So I realized that something needs to be done about our retirement. So our expenses don't retire. So we need to have the conversations around retirement very serious.
Yeah.
And then secondly, medical bills may go up when we go on retirement because we will work the body. and the body may give up here or there. But once we have planned well, we will get good health. We will eat well, and then we'll also take in even money to buy vitamin C. If you are not careful, you can't do that. And that will even deteriorate your health. So the conversations around retirement is critical. It goes beyond just the money, and it makes you live a bit longer. Then also, another thing that we need to talk about, when Doc was sharing his experience, he said he's now lecturing, but he's retired. Now, retirement is when you say goodbye to formal employment, 8 to 5. It doesn't mean you won't work again. So, even now, we need to be looking at, when I go on retirement, what exactly will I be doing? You need to have something you love doing and then work towards it, so that when you go on retirement, those things you would do out of leisure will even give you some money. And I'm sure Doc is teaching for leisure, but he's earning earning money.
Can you confirm or deny?
Yes. I mean, you love music. Why don't you go to school about music? When you go on retirement, you can teach people music. And at that level, you work not because of the money, but because you are making impact in other people's lives. And that impact brings you reward, and it adds up. So these are some of the things we need to be looking at, so that we can plan carefully towards retirement.
Makes sense. Thank you so much. And I'm happy you touched on the medical bills. One thing that I shared in my article is that, you know, in times past, right, people used to rely on the children for their retirement package. But times have changed. And I'm speaking on behalf, because I'm the young person in this room, I'm speaking on behalf of us, the millennials, that, we are now even finding our own feet. So if we were supposed to probably take care of our parents, we do, all right, but if we're supposed to take the whole burden, that would be too much on our side, you understand? So it's important that people take charge of their own retirement. I'll come to you, Miriam. This is a more personal question, maybe. But do you think that maybe the time that maybe we get married, we give birth, affect our pension planning and all those things? If, for example, let's say at age 60, you are still paying kids' school fees, isn't something that is eating into your pension? What would you recommend? Because I saw somewhere that you need to, even at age 60 or retirement, you don't need to be paying any more school fees.
Doc just disagreed with you. No.
I'm still paying school fees. I'm still paying school fees. It all boils down to the planning. You know that. Look, at the time I'm going to go on retirement, I will still have school-going children.
Yeah.
So all you do is to plan for them. So you can take insurance cover for them. Even with the medical listener, you can take medical cover for insurance. You can do that. So you cannot achieve all what you want to do in terms of cutting down your expenses before retirement. It's not possible. Either you'll be having school-going children, you have parents you're going to take care of, etc. So I think we cannot. But what I will surely want to do, those whose children have grown, you cannot fully rely on your children.
Yeah.
You cannot. So if you do that, you may have the self-pity and your body will weaken very fast. You have emotional trouble, etc. So provide for yourself at old age. If they come to give you, fine, that becomes bonus for you.
Yeah.
So I think that's also what I want to share with you. Okay.
Mia, would you want to add up?
I think Doc has answered it really well. What I'll just add to it is, even my father also is still paying fee. He just finished paying. So for us, you can maybe put a plan around your giving birth or you're starting a family. But again, children, for me, I believe, are gifts from God. So you can have your plan, but the super plan is beyond you.
Yeah.
So you can't really plan for how you're going to have your family at what time. The time I planned to get married didn't happen then.
Yeah.
And the time I wanted to have my first child didn't happen then. So it's not in your control. What is in your control is what you have now and how you use it and the decisions you are taking today. So work with what you have control over.
Yeah. Back to you, KV. So, anyway, Miriam touched on the fact that if, let's say, I mean, from my article, that you need to contribute something little every single month. I want you probably to educate viewers the importance of, if you gradually increase the amount you pay as your income also increase. I don't know if you want to touch a little bit on that, because if maybe someone says that, okay, it's 69 cedis, so maybe the person has in his mind that for the next 30 years I'll be doing this amount of figure, but just briefly touch on that.
So, and it's a good point that your contributions you are doing on a monthly basis or on a regular basis, you review it on an annual basis at least. And the reason is that we have something we call inflation. It eats away the power of your money. We know about fuel prices going up, and the cost of goods and services going up. What I can use 20 cedis to buy today, I won't be able to buy the same quantity of goods next year by this time. It will reduce. So on that basis, it's important that when you are working on your investment plan for retirement, you also factor in some minimal increases. Now, beyond that, for those of us in formal employment, there's something we call bonus, which people smile at, or even the 13th month salary. Now, these are other sources of money that comes to you. And then beyond the formal employment, some of us have talents and gifts. We can commercialize those talents and gifts at our leisure and then rake in additional flows. Now, these additional monies that comes through our hands, it doesn't mean that our expenses should increase once our income increase. No, they become additional flows for you to channel towards your retirement, so that if in your plan you can achieve 1 million or 500,000 or 200,000 in 10 years, you end up achieving it in 6 years or 7 years. And what that happens is that you are able to generate much more. There's something we call compounding interest. Now, once you do this religious contribution on a monthly basis, the power of compounding is able to increase the rate of growth, so that you achieve your target faster. But if you don't consistently do that gradual increase, what means that you are slowing down your ability to achieve that objective. So let's keep at it, and then have that mindset that whatever additional money that comes, maybe you split it 50% and you put it in. There are others too that the monthly 10% or 20% is difficult. What you can actually also do is also set annual target for yourself, and say that this year I am aiming at saving or investing 1 month of my salary or 2 months of my salary. So you plan around that. Once you achieve that, you go to, now the cinema is banned, I was going to say, you go to Silverbed and watch a movie with malt and popcorn, because you have achieved the target for the year. Those are the things that will help you move along, and you self-motivate yourself to achieve these targets.
Miriam, I'll come to you about lifestyle, but remember, we are still live on CTFM 97.3, and this is the Stanbic Investment Management Services webinar series. We are talking about retirement. You're having a question about retirement planning. If you have any questions, please do send us a message on Facebook. You can also send to us our social media platforms at Stanbic Investment Management Services. Just get to us, we'll read the questions and comments, and we'll answer them for you. So remember, it's Stanbic Investment Management Services on Facebook. Miriam, so there's this thing we call lifestyle inflation, and that's the more reason why I asked KB the question about increasing your income, increasing your contributions as your income grows. I mean, from experience and from people that we interact with, we realize that once you get your income increases. Now, the things you want to do regularly, let's say, for example, at first, you take, let's say, a sachet water. Now, you'll be like, no, I'm taking bottled water. Our tank keeps also changing. What can we do with the bigger goal of the retirement and making sure that we are comfortable in retirement? What do you think are some of the lifestyle changes that we as young people can put aside on or do on a day-to-day basis to help us retire comfortably?
Oh, I think that it's from individual to individual. We all have in our mind a certain way we want to live. It's either your finances will support it or not, but you always have in your mind a certain way you want to live. What will make you live in a way that you will retire as you want is still coming back to the planning and having an objective. If I have that and I start thinking about that early, I would stop wasting money, so that when a friend says, let's go here, we keep jumping from one spot to the other, because there's no focus. I was recently having a discussion on investment, and I interviewed my dad on his retirement. He's also retired now, and like KB was saying, he's doing something he enjoys now, which is preaching and being in the ministry. So how did he do it? And one thing that came out for me in that conversation I had with my dad was the fact that he had a focus and he had a plan. So everything that he did was geared towards that. So if I have the plan, and I realize that even what I'm living on is not sufficient, then I start thinking out of the box to find out what can I do on the side that will bring me money. So I stop looking at just my salary and what I'm earning now, and I start thinking what I can do in addition. Sometimes it's also not just so when someone thinks about what can I do, then immediately it's buying and selling. But we tend to do better at what we enjoy doing. You might be favored or blessed to do an 8 to 5 job that satisfies you. But if that doesn't satisfy you, there's something else that everyone has been given, a gift, a talent that you can develop. And if you do it well, it will bring you money.
Yeah.
And sometimes also, the money will not come in your younger ages.
Yeah.
It would bring more maybe at retirement. So whatever Dr. Al-Hassan did or is doing now is based on some development that he invested in himself whilst he was younger. So he's lecturing in law now because he put some development in place for himself. So that is an extra income that will come at retirement. And that planning or what he decided to do at retirement, it came in there when he had written down the goal. Yeah. So don't just think about the plan. Don't just think about the goal. Write it down and run with it.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Let me just come in. No. You talk about lifestyle, because, when I was leaving from Cape Coast to come to Accra to work, my salary that I was going to get was about 4 times. I said, well, I think I can save a lot of money. so I said, oh, meanwhile, at Cape Coast, I used to do a budget. I would do this, I'll do that. So I'll square my budget, I'm done. So I said, oh, I don't need a budget. 4 times, I can save a lot. Yeah. The first month, you'll be surprised. Not even 1 CD. So I sat down, the next month, I wanted to see what the pattern, what I did. I just noticed that no, I didn't exercise financial discipline at all in my spending. So I went back to my culture of preparing budget for every month. Yeah. so anytime Kusibuchi, I said, oh, I'm also going to read my annual budget. So Kusibuchi read the budget, I also read my budget, and I stayed focused on the budget. So I'm just, with the lifestyle, if your salary goes up, if you're not careful, you may not even save 1 CD.
Yeah.
Because you're going to adjust to that level.
Yeah.
So I think that we need some discipline in our spending. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. KB.
Yes. So just a bit also on the lifestyle. I have a simple litmus test I use or I share for people to use to assess whether they're actually living within their means or living beyond their means. If you look at your total expenses, split it into 2. Your fixed costs and your variable cost. The fixed costs are the expenses you need to incur, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Rent, you have to pay, whether you like it or not. Your water bill, electricity bill, then your variable. If you add your fixed cost and it goes beyond 70% of your total cost, you need to be careful. You are more or less getting to HIPIC status.
Wow.
So you are likely living at a place you shouldn't be living because of your salary level. Or you are driving a car you shouldn't be driving at that level. Yeah. If you have a car, probably it will be in your best interest to sell the car and take trotro. Because if those expenses are taking 70% of your income, then you have very little to do even for investment and to plan towards your retirement. So that's one thing, especially young people, we can do so that as we grow and our salaries increase, we try as much as possible to bring the percentage down. Yeah. The more we're able to bring the percentage down, the more room we create to invest more and enjoy better when we go on retirement.
No. On lifestyle again, I remember when we started banking, those days, if your subordinate was living above his means, you call him and tell, look, you are living above what's your other source of income? Or you are try and reduce your expenditure. If he's also living below his salary level, you call him and talk to him. You know? Because you are the ambassador of the bank. So we don't want to see you in the state that will not tell well. So I don't know whether now I think we are not doing that much. You know, so. Maybe we should help our employees to live within their means, you know, to manage their cost. Call him, look, I think the car you are driving, you know, is too big for your level. The house you are living is too big for your. Look, you will go for negotiation, and employees are talking about, rental at Cantonment is 3,000. Who asked you to go and live in Cantonment? You know, I am living in Nima, you know, and I'm able to pay. So if you go and, you know, go and live in Cantonment, you are paying $3,000, which is almost more than your salary. You know how you can save. Yeah. See, let's look beyond just living at Cantonment and plan well. You know, cut our coat according to our size. We can manage and go and move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. So I think we've spoken about the cutting down the cost, and I think Doc briefly touched on the income bit. Maybe it's a word of maybe advice that people should look at getting multiple streams of income. And I mean, the more income you have the more you can probably enjoy your retirement better. Remember, we are still live on CT 97.3. This is the Stanbic Investment Management Services webinar. Please join the conversation using the hashtag SIMS webinar series. Send us the questions and comments, and we're wrapping up very soon. So please do send your questions. We'll answer them. So I have a few of the questions here, and I'll just probably throw it to the team. If anyone wants to touch on it, then we go. So the first one is from Agnes Annan. She says that I am 40 years, and I don't have any proper money in my SNIT account. What can I do from today? I don't know who wants to touch on it first. She's 40. She doesn't have any proper money. I don't know what she calls proper. Probably could be nothing or could be a lot. What can she do from today? Initially, we touched. She didn't state that.
The good news is that, Agnes, you have 20 more years to go before you retire, all other things being equal. And there's a lot you can do in 20 years. The most important thing is take the decision now of how much of your salary you want to put aside towards your retirement. Once you take that decision, start investing that money. And you speak to us, we'll give you advice on where to invest the money so that you can meet your retirement objective. But it's never too late, and no amount is too small.
I don't know if you want to add up or Doc.
I think KB has said it. I was just going to say she should call us. Agnes, call us, and we would have a conversation. You probably have more than you think you have. And some of it may not be cash, but you have something that you can start doing that would help you work towards your goal. So please call us and let's talk.
Just add to Agnes. Agnes, they say life begins at 40. So you are now starting life. 20 years is there's still more years ahead of you. So talk to SIMS. They will help you as to how to invest your surplus. You may think you don't have anything, but you talk to them. You can create a lot of value, as you talk to them. Thank you.
I have another question from Frank. I think maybe, Doc, it was in reference to when you were talking about the loan bit. Frank Ken Arthur says that, can you go for a loan with good rates and invest the loan money in a mutual fund, let's say like SIMS, when you find it difficulty on a monthly basis? I don't know if you want to touch on that.
No. I think with a loan, you come from that angle when you know that you cannot save every month. Okay. It's very difficult because other expenses will come to clear your revenue or your income. So what normally I will do is that I'll pick a loan, then see SIM, put it there. Because I know I'm going to get interest on a compound basis. It's going to be compounded. But the loan interest I'm going to pay is on a reducing balancing basis. So eventually you'll make some margin. So that's what I mean by the loan. Just it will help you to save. You cannot save. And that's the way I normally save. You take the loan, put it somewhere, and struggle to pay. When somebody can, I don't have money. So that's
maybe just a word of caution. Maybe usually the loan interest should be lesser than the interest you're getting? Or
Yeah, of course. If you look at product loans, sometimes they are, or group loans. If a bank we are giving you a group loan of say 18%. I had a loan of say 18%. I was able to get about 20% somewhere.
Yeah.
So
net on net,
So I was okay. Meanwhile, I was paying on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
The interest was being compounded for me. So as I speak now, that money is still there as my seed capital for creating value and creating liquidity for myself. Yeah. And once you do that, you can even work it out such that what is your gap in terms of when you retire? You have 75% gap. So if I invest so much at this interest rate, I'll be able to create some additional revenue from my liquid funds. So that one will help. So let's look at that.
I have another question from William Sasu. This one, I don't know whether KB or Miriam wants to touch on it. It says that I live abroad and I want to plan towards my retirement in Ghana. What can be done apart from investment in real estate?
We have investment options. We have investment options available, yes. And now with technology, you don't need to be physically present to be able to take or to buy investments. So yes, we have, like Miriam said, we have the medium to long-term fund, which is the Stanbic Income Investment Trust, which you can put money in towards medium to long-term objective. Once the application forms are completed, we have an online portal where you can actually make direct deposits into your investment account wherever you are in the world.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. I have another question from Twitter, from Chelsea, and Doc, this one is to you. She says that good morning, everyone. With regards to teachers in Ghana and the meager wages we earn on our labor, which is a great disadvantage going on to retirement, this has led to seeing a lot of retired teachers in private schools. My question to Doc is, how can you manage the family you cater for in pre-retirement times? Yes. Or is there something that you should do in peculiar before you retire with their salary? So before pre-retirement, how do you manage, maybe your income is small, how do you manage that before retirement? Okay. And also plan for your retirement in addition.
Thank you very much. I think Miriam mentioned along the line that, you see, we all receive our income based on your relative, where you are, and don't say your revenue is small. Look at the other side. Maybe your expenses are high, So with the revenue side, you should look at the other side of it, the expenses, and try and see whether he can cut, he can really, prune down some of the expense items. So with the teacher, what you can do is to, as we said, try and save as small, however small it is. It's not small. Don't sit somewhere and say, oh, my revenue is small, this person is big. We are always looking at other people. That's why you say your revenue is small. Yeah. If you look at your own circumstance, you would think that, well, you're also earning some money. So you should not give up. You should put aside however small it is and begin talking to his investment advisors. I'm sure he will find solution to whatever.
Thank you. Miriam, this one is again to you. Someone wants you to reiterate the investment options that are available at SIMS, and also what other things that makes us different from others, maybe in terms of our digitizations and all those things. I think KB touched on it, but yeah, that's from Samuel. He sent to my Twitter DM.
Okay, so I mentioned that for investors who are looking to invest for a short period of time and still want flexibility, we have the Stanbic Cash Trust, and it allows you to put money in at any time and also take out without any charges to you. The returns on that account is benchmarked to the 91-day Government of Ghana Treasury bills. Then also we have for investors who are looking for a medium to long-term investment. You want to put money aside, or there's an association or a group you are part of that you put money together and you want to put it in a formalized institution. We do for groups, we do for individuals. You can put money together and then put it in the Stanbic Income Fund Trust, as KB mentioned as well. The benchmark rate on that is also the average of the 1 year and 2 year Government of Ghana bond. That is for individuals. We also do pensions on the institutional level, and we manage funds for corporates as well. If you want to have a personalized portfolio where you determine and we manage your funds, we have a discussion with you and we give you a fund manager to invest your funds. If you have funds scattered all over and you've been struggling to manage it, we can have a discussion with you, put those funds together in one portfolio so that you can have a good oversight on your pensions or on your investments, and then we can move on from there.
Thank you, Miriam. This has been the Stanbic Investment Management Services webinar series. We'll be wrapping up soon, and we'll take the final words from our experts. But remember that the conversation does not end here. Please feel free to reach out to us, to myself, I'm Desmond Brady, or you can reach out to us on our social media platform. If you have any questions, we'll get a client representative to talk to you and help you with the investment process. So I'll go with you. Again, Miriam, probably the ladies first, and then I'll come to Doc, then Kay will have the final word. Miriam.
Okay, so I would like to end with also a quote from Jeannie Perret that says, retirement, that's when you return from work one day and say, hi, honey, I'm home forever. I saw this and it was really catchy for me. And what I would like to end with is the fact that, yes, we are talking about objectives, plans, and we are talking about money. But your objective and your plan should also include investing in relationships. I would want to retire with my husband, God willing, at my side and go on vacations. That can be my plan. But it depends on the investment I make in him and my family today. So retirement in an all-inclusive package should be investment in relationship. It should be an objective that invests in a comfortable life. Simple but comfortable. And then it should be an investment in a hobby that occupies you during your retirement. So once you are planning your objective, have this in mind. That's what I'll tell you. Invest in relationships, invest, because you can't say hi honey if you've not invested in the relationship. Invest in relationship, invest your money, and then also invest in a hobby, so that you can say hi honey, I'm home forever.
Thank you, Miriam. Doc, your final words.
I think she said it all, but what I would just say is that we should plan to retire, as I said, not retire to plan. And we should aim to achieve just three things. 1, financial stability. 2, medical or health stability. And number 3, social stability. These are the three things we should aim at on retirement. Thank you. And we should also continuously be investing in ourselves as we move. No matter where you are, that's not your last end. So let's invest in ourselves. Let's prepare ourselves for the future. So when the opportunity presents itself, you'll be ready to really play a more important role than you did before retirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. KB.
Wow, thank you, Miriam. I can't wait to say, honey, I'm home. Yes, forever. Yes, but you need money to be able to make that statement. Yes. So I also end off with a quote by Warren Buffett. He said, until you find a way to let money work for you, you will work till you die. But the truth is that you can't work till you die. The unexpected may happen. Not long ago, people drove to the office and realized that their company that they are working for didn't exist anymore, and they were turned home. So because the future is unknown, we need to make sure at any point in our lives, we are putting money aside and allowing that money to work for us now and the future.
Thank you, Kiri. Wise words. So this has been the Stanbic Investment Management Services webinar series. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you learned something to help you in your retirement journey. My guests have been Dr. Abdullah Hassan, Miriam Makuamisa, and Mr. Kavana Buama. My name is Desmond Bredu, and I've been your moderator for today. Remember that for retirement, it's either you create the kind of retirement that you want or you accept the kind of retirement that shows up. But you may not like the kind of retirement that shows up if you don't create the kind of retirement that you want. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a lovely day. Thank you.
I am an entrepreneur. On Mondays, I am the result-oriented salesman. On Tuesdays, the reliable delivery man. On Wednesday, the IT expert. Thursdays are for motivation. I'm a sought-after motivational speaker. And on Friday, a sports consultant. With such a busy schedule, speed is very important to me. Speed in investing funds and speed in accessing funds immediately I request for it. And with Stanbic Investment Management Services, SIMS, I have all-in-one. Charlie, with SIMS, they invest with speed.
Stanbic Investment Management Services, your investment specialist. Your investment specialist.
Chairman, in fact, I actually came to find out about my investments. Yes, my investment.
Your investment.
Yeah, my investment.
Sir, considering the micro-inflationary dynamics of the systematic advanced calculated forms, your investment is perpetual towards ratification.
Meaning?
In simple terms, Sikanashi.
Misikanashi.
Don't shout. Swallow it. You care for some coffee?
Make the right choice. Invest with SIMS, Stanbic Investment Management Services, for capital preservation and competitive returns. Try SIMS today and you will not regret your decision. Stanbic Investment Management Services, your investment specialist.
Chairman.